Hey, quick thing about the video. Due to some errors on my part, there is no video, so hope you enjoy this endless void of fun. Thank you, goodbye. Hello, it is Sabo on the potato. Back with more info and knowledge. Before I continue on today's topic, what I'd like to discuss that the intro music you heard today was my little sister playing her tuba. Thank you. And the video you're watching right now, hopefully, is of my gecko. That's it. There's nothing special about it. Now to the topic. So today's topic is I looked at, kind of give myself some structure and order. I read an article from Smithsonian Magazine, which, great magazine I'm subscribed to. And I read the article about the Happiness Museum that has just recently opened in Norway, which is named one of the, I think it's the second happiest countries, which is strange. I gotta look into that a little bit later, but that requires some research on why. It was an interesting article because it's the idea of making a museum about joy. And I'm a person who loves joy itself. I think that's what should motivate people is not money or anything else. It's the joy that you can get from those such material products. And that's my main thing is fun and happiness is what I like to inspire and create. So hearing about this museum is amazing for me personally. I think it's a great thing to have, and of course during this time, with all them bad things in the air and all that, we need the joys in there. And kind of going off a little bit from our topic I'll jump back to it later. That's why I'm making this podcast. I'm making it for all the people who asked me to do this before, and I wanted to finally give them what they wanted. If you're not someone who I've met before or you do not know who I am, then welcome. My entire shtick is I'm told I have a good voice. I don't know if it will be good for this. It depends. Hopefully it will. Hopefully it won't. Who knows? And my shtick is that I think of weird things. My brain is a weird entity, and I embrace it. Before I continue, I probably should talk about a common theme throughout my entire thing will probably be about potatoes. I'm obsessed with them. I don't know why. I'll probably devote an entire episode on why I'm devoted to them. That'll probably be very important. There's some thematical things I think, but that's for a later episode. Today we're talking about joy and happiness. We're using the article. So the article talks about how in the world people try to quantify happiness, which is interesting. And besides just a normal, how are you doing? From 1 to 10, how's your day been? Not just those, but such as from nations quantifying how their employment is, how their kind of stats of how much depression has been found in their country, their GDP, pretty much how is their well-being in their country has been. Another way they've quantified it is taking world polls where they just ask as much as they can to determine who's happy or not. But that's an interesting thing, trying to quantify joy and happiness, because it really can. Like the Disney idea of it really kind of points at where I feel like comedians quantify joy and happiness through laughter. If they hear someone laugh this many times, like I'm doing good, or like this person got this loud in their laughs, that means they're laughing off their butts, as a phrase goes. I myself quantify joy and happiness as simply being able to see a smile. And yes, there's always the old thing like, oh, people can smile even when they're faking it. But I can usually tell when people are faking a smile because I usually try to make smiles. That's what I like to do, because this world, in reality, it's not the most prettiest place, and almost most of these people listening right now know that. But I always try not to focus on that. I focus on, hey, look at that potato plant growing over there. That's nice. And that potato plant represents a lot. It represents just something to keep going. When you're able to see anything or hear anything or taste anything, you gotta think like, wow, I'm doing something that or like some organisms can't, and that's insane. Like, sorry for using like. Actually, someone please keep account of how many times I say like, just so I can know that's happening. But besides that, I want to I want to embrace all that we have and enjoy and stuff, because that's what we need in life is joy. I mean, how do you know you did things well unless you know you're happy with it? Because you could do anything, and as long as you're happy with it, you're fine with it. And that's what I want to accomplish in my life. Whenever I'm asked what I want to do when I grow up, and I'll admit I am a senior in high school, one thing I always meant to plan is I want to have a job and be happy. Because no matter where I am, as long as I'm happy and joyful, then I've done good. And yes, I'm not saying that there isn't other emotions that are involved. Like, I have been sad, I've been angry, I've been scared, I've been them all. But doesn't mean that I have to be them all the time. Because sometimes you have to experience the other emotions in life. You gotta experience the joys of life, truly, and you gotta be able to laugh back on the times when you have been sad or mad. For example, where I'm recording this is in my room. I can look out my window and see a highway, pretty much. And yes, that's to do with the sounds and that, but the cool thing is I get to hear people just going, because it shows how the world's never stopping, and in a way it's beautiful and not. Because the beauty of it is that you can hear people going somewhere. That means they have a reason to, which could be joyful or not. It could be someone on a grandiose road trip going across the country. Or it could be someone going to work. But even then, they could be having fun going to work. Things like that is kind of how I can look at joy. Is that, yes, there's the glass half empty. But I tend to be an optimist, and the glass is half full, really. Because it is. Like, what's the point of dwelling on the things that aren't joyful? What's the point? By dwelling on them for too long, we are truly just subjecting ourselves to sadness. I believe a true motivator is joy. When one plays a game, you're motivated to play that game because you know it brings joy. And even if a game that stresses you out, like I've been playing this game called Cuphead, besides the fact it's very stressful. But after I play it, I get this release of just fun knowing that I attempted something difficult and I went for it. And it's amazing. And I always try to do that in everything I do. Doesn't matter if it's difficult or not, as long as I did it or I attempted, I can be proud and I can be happy. I mean, that's why I do a lot of things, like video games. I'm a guy who loves video games. By the way, this episode is going to be more of a biography of me, pretty much, so you can get to know me. I love video games. I love them because I have fun. I'm not great at them. I'm terrible at first-person shooters. I'm terrible at kind of platformers where you jump a lot. I'm terrible in games where you have to kind of lie and stuff. I'm not good at games, but I enjoy them. I enjoy reading. I enjoy the idea of going to a fantasy world and experiencing that. The joys of the ups and downs are beautiful and showcase a light of intensity that's amazing to hear. I play a trumpet, which I always thought to me was like one of the happiest instruments, because this blasty horn from like Princess and the Frog you have, where you can just go bam 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 and you just play it, and it's amazing. And stuff like that is where I'm driven by. It's by joy and that fun. And like this, and going back to the article, I'm gonna keep jumping back and forth. Going back to that, it discusses how they brought artifacts for people to observe. And the artifacts were, one of them was a old sock, a daisy that was flattened, and a tooth. And from a distance, those don't seem like actual relics of joy and happiness, but it's the stories that create that joy in those objects. An object can have fun, but it's what we do with it that creates the fun. For example, I'll only give one of the stories since I don't want to waste too much of you guys' time. The one about the sock was the person who donated, her father carried a sock in his pocket. And he just did it to do it. It was his lucky sock, if I remember correctly. And one day, before he passed away, he gave his lucky sock to his daughter and said, whenever you feel sad or mad, Just hold the sock and you feel better. And the sock wasn't magical. That wasn't what gave it its magic. It was simply the fact that she was holding a sock. It was just the funniness of it. Because I myself, for example, carry around pens. I don't know why. Sometimes they're not even needed. I just have them on me. But by having that pen around, I can always laugh and go, why do I have a pen? I could have had thousands of things. I could have money in my pocket. I could have car keys. I could have a wallet. I could have anything. But I have a pen. And it's just goofy, really. It's just, why do I have this? And that idea continues and continues on. Another thing that I always do, I always like to lie. I will admit it to people who know me. I have lied to probably many of my own friends about things just because I know that'll create more joy. Like, for example, one thing I will admit that I've lied to is I have never gotten into a fight. I once told someone I got into a fight just to give them a story that would be funny for them, but I never have. I'm a very peaceful person that is just trying to do the best I can. And that's what I want, just peace and chilly. It doesn't mean I'm a pacifist. It's just I'm joyful most times, and I don't need a fight. There's no point. It's not bringing me joy. But things like that, is just, I love joy. Like, for example, on YouTube itself, which is you're watching this most likely, there's a YouTuber called Jacksepticeye. He has this entire brand where it's called Positive Mental Attitude, and he has this one little joke in his videos where he just slaps a whiteboard with the word laugh on it, and it says laugh. And when you show it to anyone besides someone who's watched his content before, they're like, what? Who is this person? But seeing that is joyful for me because it's something just dumb and random. And that's, in a way, that can create joy and happiness. Because that's the beauty of it, is joy/happiness is a entity that can be made in any way or shape or possible. It can happen for anyone. It can happen any way. Someone will have experienced fun and joy in some weird way before. I remember one time I literally ate a potato. I remember the very first time I ate a potato. I don't know why I have this memory, but I took a bite of it, and I just felt happy. It was like it was this entity that just existed in my hand. I was like, I'm gonna eat it, and I ate it. That was what brought me fun and laughter. And overall, that's what we want to do in life, is just joy and happiness. Man, this is strange. So to kind of jump around again, the reason why I'm making this isn't for views or subscribers or because I want to be known. Heck, no one may even be watching these. I'm doing this because two reasons. One, I always wanted to do a little podcast. I always wanted to put out what I'm thinking because I need to do that. I need to just simply go like, hey, this is what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about how if you took all the kids in your school and had a dodgeball tournament, who would win? I mean, I've been thinking about this idea for a while now. So in my own school, I have thought about how amazing it would be if they did a school-wide dodgeball. Because think about it. What unites people better than trying to dodge a ball and make sure your teammate also dodges the ball? Or trying to win a game. I don't know how much fun I've had from playing dodgeball, and I miss it. And it'd be great for everyone else to experience that joy with me. And stuff like that. It's just super fun to me. Now back to my own biography a little bit more. What have I not said? What's something that's actually important for you to know? I think a lot. My brain's always going. Things just appear in my head and disappear. So I will try my best to keep myself controlled, but there will be times where I'll be talking about something, stop it, and never return. If that does happen, leave a comment on what it needs to do. But if no one's listening to this, then Terrence, leave a comment if I need to fix anything. But continue on. I just try to have fun with it. I entire things for my IB cast that I want to show that I'm engaging with the global issues, and the global issue I'm dealing with today is the issue of sadness by looking at the joys and happiness of life itself is what I'm looking at. And I want to express those to myself and to whoever's listening. Back to the article little more to give myself more structure. Underneath that article, ironically, was a link to the question of why the potato famine happened. And I don't make this up. This is one of the links underneath the article I just finished for this. And also, I'd like to add is that there's another thing called the World Happiness Report, which from quoting from the actual article, rely on the Gallup World Poll. This year, the survey added a new set of parameters asking participants how social, urban, and natural environments impacted their quality of life. Where they're using all these stats to figure out, are you happy or not? I mean, because happiness is one of those things that you don't know if you are or if you aren't. Because sometimes people fake it, and that's the saddest parts, when they try to fake it. Well, I believe that you should never fake having to be happy. If you're not happy, don't be happy. That's just simple. I mean, most things do not need to be complex in any way. And that's like one of my biggest things I go for in my life. Nothing needs to be complex. For how much my brain is thinking right now and how much I think on a daily basis, I always try to use that to simplify everything. Where I want to be able to say the most complex theorem and be able to explain it to a 2-year-old. And that's what I try to do. Because I know, for me, simplicity is beauty in my eyes. It is by having this simpleness extracted from a complex system, I can create joy in knowing that I can understand it, and I can even have someone else understand it. And of course, different people have different definitions of joy and happiness. Some people perceive it as being able to relax out on a beach and drink your pina colada or whatever. Some people it is going to work. I've met people who are workaholics who just like to work, and nothing's wrong with that. Some people is travel. Some people is eating a certain dish. Some is playing video games. There's so many different ways. And that kind of makes me happy, knowing that there's so many ways for people to experience happiness, and there's so much to discover. Because every day, we don't know everything. That's just fact as humans. We will never will, and we never won't. We never will, and there's things we just won't know. But doesn't mean we can't get there one day, and we will. But besides that, because we don't know everything, every time we learn something new, it could cause us new joy. For example, I learned about what a percentile is today. Most simplest thing that anyone can understand most times. It's a really simple concept. But I never understood it for years. I was always complex by it. And today I figured it out. And I have never felt so just exhilarated with excitement from understanding that idea. And really, math for me is what gives me joy. I love math. I love solving math. I love figuring math out. I love it everywhere. That's why I'm considering a career in it for sure. But I love it. I love the idea that I could tell you how to do something based purely on numbers. Not on my own beliefs, not on my own morals, not on my own virtues or values, none of that. Nothing that's opinionated too much, nothing that's biased, just simply, here are the facts, and here's the best way I can interpret it in a neutral stance. And that's beautiful to me. Because, yes, it is important for people to express their opinions and to have all those opinions considered. But in this world, in the country I live in, America, it isn't pretty sometimes. And being able to have something that people can't easily argue with as much, or something that everyone can be like, I understand, then that's fantastic. And that's why I love math. That's why math brings me joy. My gecko brings me joy. I love my gecko. She doesn't acknowledge that I'm there. She does not have the brain capacity to know that I exist, that I'm her owner. All she knows is I'm a giant creature that hasn't eaten her yet. That's all she knows about me. And that's all she should know about me. Because that's all she can. But I know that she's fine with me whenever I hold her. Because I don't know if it's the way I hold her or if she's simply comfortable. She acknowledges her name. Whenever she sees me, she looks at me. Could be as a threat, but who really knows? Because we can't understand animals most of the time and how their brain works and what they're thinking. Because thinking is one of the also things that brings joy. Because to an extent, a lot of things think.
this is how we define it. Like, for example, a dog thinks. He may not think complex theories on how the world works, but he thinks about, in the most basic sense, ooh, that is food, I will eat. Oh, did not food, I may chew. No. They have that much thought. Unlike humans who can go into these existential ideas and abstract concepts, there is more nicer and simpler, I would say. Doesn't take away from their ability, though. But that's my gecko. She brings me joy because I can hold her in my hands and we're just chilling. It's this creature that doesn't understand me and I don't understand her fully, but it's a mutual respect in that I can love and joy and something that I can take care of. Because during these times of where the door is more of a gateway to a realm that we cannot enter, having a creature or something nearby that's living is amazing. Like a plant will work. I, over the summer, grew radishes in my basement. I'm going to leave it as that. But as I was growing them, I felt so much relief and joy growing them. It may have been that it's the very first thing I ever grew, or it was from the idea that I grew them myself. I put the work in for them to grow. I didn't get to eat them. I really had to take them apart for my science experiment. Not needed, but still, that was fun and joyful. And that's what I want to reiterate on. Is this what brings joys and what does? Because I think the great example is that one lady who back in a while was famous on Netflix for how she literally went, "This brings me joy. This doesn't." I myself find joy in anything almost, except insects. They don't bring joy. But some of them do. For example, I love ladybugs. Even though I know they can bite me, I love them. And I love praying mantises. It's so cute how you see the little hands. Because I have praying mantises in my backyard, and I love those little guys. I'm never going to touch them. I'm never going to go near them that close, but I love them because they're just chilling. And their job is like, I'm eating these creatures. They're like, cool, I need you to eat those creatures. And it's a harmony like that. But another example is spiders. I hate spiders. If you know me in real life, I hate insects. I hate spiders. I hate them all. But I respect them. And I love what they're doing. And I'm happy that their job is pretty much, I'm going to eat these creatures that are tiny. I'm like, I don't want those tiny creatures. No, I'll eat it. And you're like, that's amazing. And that's fun for me. That's great to know. And I love learning. I love learning too. I get great joy from learning. I mean, who hasn't learned something new and you're like, whoa, amazing. This is fantastic. And just smiled. Who hasn't figured out a math problem or finally understand what your teacher is trying to say? Whenever you get that rush, you're like, this is amazing. I love friends. I love family. I love my friends because they're all funny people. For me, they always tend to be funny people who just want to goof around because that's life. Life is goofy and they embrace it and I embrace it with them. And I love my family. My family is the same. They are goofy people who want to goofy with them. Sometimes they'll try to act serious. Sometimes they'll try to be mad. But at the end of the day, being mad and sad is tiring. I cannot be mad or sad for long periods of time because I just get tired. And that's what I want to experience in my life, where it's just not a constant joy, but a good graph of where it's increasing always. It sometimes drops. It has to drop. No one can be truly happy 24/7. That takes a lot out of a person. But it doesn't mean someone has to be sad 24/7. You gotta find a good balance, and I discovered that myself a few years ago. Besides that, I brought joy. What brings me joy sometimes is simply cleaning my room. I have had spouts where I am in a cleaning mode, and I have my music jamming, and I'm cleaning. Oh, I forgot to bring that upon music. That's one of the big things that gives me joy. As I mentioned earlier, I play trumpet. Whenever I find a song that I love hear and I play it and I get it, joy. Whenever I'm learning a song on my clarinet, joy. Whenever I'm playing sleigh bells and I'm goofy, dancing around with sleigh bells, joy. And overall, I mean, in my case, I guess I bring more joy in the way I act in my goofiness and the way I talk, which I hope is what's happening. I tend to act my goofy ways or my silly ways for people to get a laugh or a joy in their lives. Because that's all I want. Is someone to smile when they see me do my weird thing. Because I remember one time I was at a competition, and I was just dancing around with my sleigh bells, and I look over in the crowd, and this little girl's looking at me, smiling, and I look right back at her, and I think I did like a twirl, and she just started laughing, and I was like, "This is amazing," and that's what's beautiful to me. It's just small things like that that brings you joy and fun and excitement, and all those things together makes a beautiful feeling in my heart, in my mind, in my toes, in my potatoes. And those were the things that truly keep me going. So if you'd like to know more in that article, the article's name is, so you can learn more, The World's First Happiness Museum Opens in Denmark. It's in the Smithsonian Magazine. And the intro you heard was from my little sister I've not heard before. If you enjoy what I'm doing or you want to enjoy it, leave a comment on what you liked about it, what you want more from it. Leave a like if you feel like it. It doesn't matter to me. I'm not trying to make profit out of this, for sure not. I'm just trying to have fun with this. I'm gonna maybe try to have guests, because I know it's weird just hearing a person talk to himself for hours and answer his own questions. It's also a little bit crazy. So I would maybe have guests if you have suggestions on a topic that you really would like to hear discussed. I will try to. Most of my topics are most likely PG-13 or PG in general. It's not because I want kids to listen to this, but I don't care for having those, and mostly also my teachers are going to probably be listening to these for my earlier times. So until I get to college, I'll probably keep them non-explicit. But it does not take away that there may be topics brought up that are pretty serious, such as death or sexual abuse or something like that. I probably won't use those topics, but those are examples that are always possible if I have a conversation with someone else. Otherwise, I hope you have a fantastic day. And I hope your life is as smooth as a peanut butter on a potato with some butter all underneath it, so it's sliding across, but it all sliding across smoothly, and it's on top of marble. I'll put that smooth marble with a little bit of smooth jazz in the background. I hope your day is as great as that description. Thank you for listening. Au revoir. Adios. Goodbye. Good tidings. Good joy. Ad Wiedersehen, and have a lovely day, night, morning, evening, hour, second, minute, nanosecond.